Good evening. Good day, everyone. We're going to begin this brief briefing on our MD Entrepreneurship Program. My name is John, and I am the key proponent of this project together with our partner, AgeLock. So if you're watching this, chances are you are a medical practitioner or an individual who is associated with pharmaceutical companies working with medical practitioners to improve healthcare services to our to the Philippine patients. Tonight, we're going to talk about an MD entrepreneurship program which seeks to help medical practitioners improve the quality of healthcare they provide to their patients. At the same time, set up a business that they can call their own to diversify their income sources. So before I begin, let me introduce a little bit of your business partners in this MD Entrepreneurship Program. In this project, you have two partners. First is our corporate partner, New Skin Enterprises. And I'd like to introduce our company briefly as working with a blue chip company is a huge boost of confidence compared to working with a company that does not have track record. So our company is publicly listed in the New York Stock Exchange and is recognized as a blue chip company. The company has consistently been recognized with a 5A1 credit rating. For those who are not so familiar, a credit rating or an investment rating is something that banks use in order to assess an individual or a corporation's qualification for debt or borrowing. And 5A1 is what we call five-star rating. Just to benchmark, San Miguel Corporation is a huge company. It is rated 2A1. Toyota is a large company. It's rated 3A1. And Hong Kong Shanghai Bank is one of the most liquid banks in the world. It is rated 5A2. So our company corporate partner, New Skin Enterprises, has been credited at 5A1 for more than 2 decades now. Beyond Dun & Bradstreet credit rating, we also have Forbes magazine assessing over 1,000 mid-cap companies in 2010. And New Skin was part of it, and we were recognized as the 5th highest in terms of trustworthiness amongst 1,000. Our company has a partnership with Stanford University Anti-Aging Research Center, which means that we provide funding for R&D on anti-aging. And so the advantage is that we are able to see firsthand which are the new updates in anti-aging research. So we can apply this in our product development. A few years ago, the company also acquired a research company called LifeGen Technologies, which is a company that has over 30 years in experience in gene expression science research. And this will be key to the new products that we will be talking about today and in the weeks to come. And to help us have a robust R&D, our 170 PhDs in our staff doing the R&D work for the development of new products for the company. As such, the company has produced products that are listed in what we call the PDR, or the Physician's Desk Reference in the United States of America. The PDR lists mostly pharmaceutical drugs, but it now includes nutraceutical supplements, which have been tested in terms of efficacy and safety. So there are only a few companies that are qualified there, and Newskin has over a dozen supplements that are in that level of standard. And this is achieved through what we call a 6S quality process, where the company makes sure that before a product is even launched to the market, the product is substantiated and standardized in terms of clinical trials and production processes. Because of this stringent R&D and manufacturing standards, our company in 2012 was featured in Discovery Channel for a new discovery on aging and how to reverse that. And as you know, Discovery Channel is more of an educational channel than a media channel or an entertainment channel. And so it only features those that are founded on science, number one. Number two, it is something that is relevant for mankind. And number three, it is new and it is not something that people know from before. We have published studies of the clinical benefits of our products in several journals. And this allows us a solid footing in launching a healthcare program that we can be credible with our partners, with our prospects, with our patients, and we can trust to be fully effective and safe. On top of our corporate partner, you would be partnering with a group of professionals called Synergy Business Professionals. I am part of that. We are a group of successful entrepreneurs with strong experience in business, pharma, and FMCG. For my background, I've been in business development, sales, and training for more than 20 years. First 10 years working with Procter & Gamble, helping them build their businesses in the downscale market, from sari-sari store, wet markets, to the groceries, and to the national chains such as Pure Gold, Robinsons, Rustans. And my track record is not only in terms of growing their revenue, but also in teaching them how to grow their bottom line profits. In the past 10 years, I've been working more with individuals who want to develop businesses and have trained and developed them to build business skills that would allow them to build what we call long-term passive income. Our group also includes senior medical practitioners and healthcare facility founders and owners, which means either hospitals or infirmaries, and over 20 years experience as consultants. And so these experts bring into the table technical and clinical experience to ensure that what we have as a product is uniquely relevant and beneficial to patients. And as a benefit, you and I have access to experienced organization and leadership consultants. As you know, if you've been running a business, organizational performance is key for a business to thrive. And we have such partnerships with seasoned leaders who are who have achieved track record in building their own businesses and their organizations. So this is the partnership. And if you're listening here tonight, it tells us that you are open to looking at a business that will link to your medical practice or to your medical background. And so we welcome you to this evening's briefing, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the discussion for tonight. So, based on our dialogues with key medical practitioners, this is the normal life stages of a medical doctor. After med proper, people decide to specialize, and before becoming a specialist, doctors need to go through residency. Normally, this is in their mid 20s to early 30s. And normally at this stage, there are a couple of areas that we want to consider, and based on what we uh, gathered in terms of data, as a resident, the income is basically more like an allowance. And so people get to have some income, but basically just to pay for their expenses. At this time, some people are single, some people get married, some people have children. So the expenses are still moderate, although tuition fee for school was expensive. Time I heard for residents, they go from 24-hour, 36-hour, and in extreme cases, 72-hour duties. So there's very little time to enjoy life, and as such, coming from a young, healthy state, fitness levels begin to decline. From residency, the doctor becomes a junior consultant in the early 30s. Income begins to come in. Expenses also begin to grow together with overhead for a clinic, for payroll, and for other lifestyle needs. And time might be flexible. Some people have a lot of flexible time to work with government hospitals or corporate clinics. And here, health has continued to suffer because of the growing demands of the practice. The next stage is senior consultancy, and it is at this time that the doctors are earning much more money. So congratulations. And normally, this is also the age where the expenses are the highest, primarily because of what we call the sandwich years. So what do we mean by the sandwich years? Sandwich years are the years that not only doctors, but even people like us are old enough to have children who have tuition fees to be paid, food, transportation, and at the same time have parents who are perhaps retired, perhaps getting old, who we also have to take care of in terms of livelihood and medical care. And so nasa sandwich yung financial demands, obligations, and also time needs. But since the practice has already prospered, time is much less. In fact, the more patients a doctor has at this time, the more hours they have to extend in their clinics. And as such, also, there is little time to take care of one's health, eating erratically, and sleeping erratically, with little time for exercise. After 2 decades of successful practice, doctor retires if they choose to, above 60. And normally, if there is no more clinic or procedures being done, income stops unless there are other businesses or consultancies that are accepted. Here, if a medical doctor decides to maintain their lifestyle, the expenses continue to be high. But if the doctor decides to downgrade, then it can be a little bit lower. So there's some adjustment. Unfortunately, this is the time also that the diseases are propping up, and health is not as at its best. In fact, it's more or less worse than when they were junior consultants. And so, as doctors go through these life stages, there are important considerations depending on where you are at the time. So, what are these considerations? Number one, growing financial needs, which would primarily be connected to tuition fees, perhaps, and how many children you have. But while we can provide for the growing financial needs, the other consideration is time with the family. One of my batchmates who's successfully finished his surgery fellowship was narrating to me how he stopped for 2 years in practice after finishing surgery because he had to make up for lost time with his 7, 8-year-old daughter. Because in the 5 years that he was in residency, he was out at 5:30 a.m. and comes back home at 11 p.m. And there was a time that his wife had to go to a convention, and he was left alone with the daughter in the evening in the bedroom. And the daughter actually cried and wanted to stay beside the yaya instead of the dad. So that triggered him to redirect his next 2 years from immediately practicing to recovering the time with his daughter. Another concern is increasing competition. So as there are more and more graduates, more and more medical doctors, the patient pool is diluted into more doctors. Fourth consideration is retirement income. Since doctors are self-employed, there's no such thing as a pension plan that is managed by the company or a retirement package after 60 years old. So the doctor needs to plan his own retirement and make ensure that the income after retirement is adequate to maintain the lifestyle and to access important medical expenses. Now, the last consideration is something that we don't normally think of. It is an illness or an accident. If something happens to the doctor who is also the breadwinner, uh, unfortunately, if the doctor is ill or gets into an accident and cannot do procedures or go to a clinic, they have to their practice stops and the PF stops, and they now have to find other ways to provide for the family. Such is the case for an orthopedic surgeon that suffered a stroke at 42 years old at the peak of his career. Fortunately, he survived. Unfortunately, half of his body was paralyzed and he could no longer practice surgery. And thus, from a breadwinner, he became a dependent together with his 3 kids. So the wife now has to be a single breadwinner, at the same time take care of her husband in the who's undergoing recovery until now. So we talk about this because at the end of the day, while we want to improve patients' health, we want to make sure that our considerations are also protected and made satisfactorily. So today, let me start by talking about understanding the different ways that people can earn money. And this is called the cash flow quadrant. The author is Robert Kiyosaki. And as we talk about this, I will specifically explain how this works in a medical practice. Most people start as E's, which is called an employee. An employee is someone who works for someone else. So medical doctors who are employees are either working for HMOs, managing clinics in hospitals, or not in hospitals, in offices, or government hospital items, or perhaps a faculty in a teaching profession. So the hours are fixed and the pay is fixed, but fundamentally, you have a boss and you work, you earn money, and you don't work, you don't earn money. The next category is what we call self-employed. Self-employed people are people or doctors who have their own clinical practice, and they go to their clinic. They see patients. They earn a professional fee for the consultation. doing rounds, procedures, and they get professional fees for each of these value-added services. The challenge here is that when the doctor wants to take a vacation or to rest, the income also stops. The advantage is that there is no boss. The disadvantage is that the money still stops when we stop working. So on the left side, this is what we call linear income, best explained through a bicycle. So what is a bicycle? A bicycle is when you push your feet forward down the pedal, the bicycle moves forward. So when you pedal, it moves forward. When you stop pedaling, it moves forward until a time that your savings are depleted. And at that time, you need to pedal your bike again. So the harder you pedal, the more distance you cover or the more income you make. The less you pedal, the slower your bike and the less income people make. So in this case, income is directly proportional to time. No work, no pay. 100% of one person's effort. And this is where the risk comes in because if it's 100% of one person's effort, then if the person gets sick or wants to rest, 100% of zero becomes zero. And so this is what we call high risk income, meaning if something happens, it is high risk. And little or no rest, low rest, meaning the people in this category cannot rest for a long time because their income will stop. On the other hand, we have category B, which is a big business owner. These people have people working hard for them to generate them an income. A key example of this would be perhaps Vicky Bello, perhaps Manny Pangilinan, who is not necessarily a doctor but owns hospitals. And investors, these are people who put money in a health facility and the money works for them. So on the right side is what we call leverage income or passive income, where you generate income through building assets that is a business that runs whether you're there or not, or money that generates income whether you work or not. The important question to ask is where do we belong right now in terms of what we do and where do you want to go to? Our program on the MD Entrepreneurship Program is targeted to help medical professionals develop big business mindset and skill sets so that they can diversify their income sources and build a longer term income that won't be fully dependent on their time. So the medical entrepreneur. The intent is to help doctors diversify their income sources. Number two, to help develop relevant business skills to build their leverage income. To provide greater protection for your family so that should there be anything that would happen, there is a diversified income source that will feed your family. Have the option to retire young, retire rich. So if you feel that you want to travel the world already at 40, 45 years old, you have the option because you wouldn't be worrying about the income if you travel the world. And this will also give you more choices to have more time to enjoy your life and your family. So this is the MD Entrepreneurship Program. And for this year, we are launching this leveraging on a booming industry at this time. And let me get into that directly. For us to have big income, we need to be able to tap into a huge demand category. And that huge demand category will allow us sustainable income and profits over the next 10 to 20 years. And the first element of this MD Entrepreneurship Program is what we call the TR90 Weight Management Specialist Program, which will now target the epidemic called obesity. So how bad is this situation already? Let's watch this video that about a documentary on obesity to understand better.
I'm 5'10" and 242 pounds. I always say this is the biggest I'm ever going to be, and I said that like 20 pounds ago. A third of Americans are obese, another third is overweight. Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country. I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes.
Sleep apnea, heart disease.
Everything's hurting now.
It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
This is probably going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese. It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac. I'm going to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease. All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that. We don't now take this as a really urgent national priority. We are all going to pay a really serious price. Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
All right. So it is already an epidemic. Ibig sabihin, it is a disease that is already worrying the government because of its high levels of incidences. So in that video, it is a documentary with the Center for Disease of the United States, which means that they are already very serious about this epidemic of obesity. So other facts about this industry, the industry has grown since 1980, more than doubled. The number of overweight people are more than China and India, 1.5 billion, all of them overweight or obese globally. 77% or 3/4 of people have been shown to be actively managing their weight. And the industry has grown plus 72% in the past 5 years. Now 700 billion almost. So what is triggering this weight management growth is are the following. Number one, growing prevalence of obesity due to sedentary lifestyle. So back when I was a kid, we would mostly run around, play outdoors, and we didn't have desktops even at that time. Today, children have iPhones, iPads, and they'd rather sit in front of an iPad watching YouTube rather than go out and run and play with their neighbors. So at an early stage, there's already a behavioral shift from physical activity to sedentary lifestyle. And by the way, it's not only children, but even in adults. Less adults are taking physical activities now than before. To add to that is a fast food culture where people eat more fast food than home cooked meals. And since it is fast food, most of these are fried food that are low in nutritional content. Third is a stressful, fast-paced environment, which triggers more stress hormone and therefore unhealthy buildup of fat and decline in muscle. So with this growing prevalence, there is also growing awareness about the importance of losing extra weight to avoid deadly health consequences. So these diseases on the right, type 2 diabetes, heart and disease and stroke, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, gallbladder disease, fatty liver, cancer, osteoarthritis, sleep apnea. All of these are health risks of being obese. And more people are getting aware of that. And the third area is rising awareness of available solutions. Marketing has been quite aggressive on weight loss and weight management, that people before who were unable to take action are now more able to take action on their weight problems. So how does it impact our health? This is how degenerative diseases are developed. And when you say degenerative, these are diseases that are not related to virus or bacteria, but rather to one part of our body degenerating faster than the rest. So a blocked artery is a degenerative disease. Fatty liver is a degenerative disease. Stroke is a degenerative disease. Diabetes is a degenerative disease. So how do these develop? It doesn't develop over 1 month, even a week. It doesn't develop over 1 year. It develops over a few years of poor choices. So all of us, when we are young, we start with being fit and healthy, having low body fat, low visceral fat, and decent muscle rates. Unfortunately, after working or after going to residency, some people, most people, begin to gain weight. So, how many of you remember that you were slimmer in college than after college? Yeah. And it begins high body fat percentage, muscle rate declines, visceral fat increases. I remember in college, I was around 130 pounds being track and field varsity. But within 2 years, I gained 40 to 50 pounds working for Procter and Gamble. So it was a sharp increase in weight that was, how do I say it, almost subconscious. Hindi ko namalayan. Now, there's something, it is not yet considered a disease at this stage, but at this stage, it is already a health risk. And so what happens, eventually, the disease after 5 to 10 years progresses to what we call organ abuse. So at organ abuse levels, the organs have symptoms like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high blood sugar levels, and fatty liver. And it is at stage 2 that people are already prescribed maintenance medicines, which unfortunately tend to delay the forward movement of the disease, but does not necessarily reverse that forward movement. And so you will find cases where stage 2 people taking maintenance medicine eventually progress to stage 3, which means that they're taking Lipitor, statins, but they still suffer a heart attack or a stroke or diabetic complication despite years of insulin or metformin. Some of them reach stage 3, stage 4 cancer, or even kidney and liver failure. So the idea is, how do we now protect our health and our patients' health by understanding where they are right now in terms of stage and helping them reverse the forward movement of degenerative diseases and take it back to becoming fit and healthy. And to understand this better, we'd like to talk about a concept called visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat around our organs, and these organs are affected by the growing density of visceral fat. So visceral fat is necessary to our body to a certain level of thickness. But beyond a certain thickness, it becomes risky to our organ function and eventually contaminates the other organs in our system. This is a heart that is enveloped in fat. This is a fatty liver, kidney cancer, and diabetes and uric acid are all side effects of excess fat, specifically visceral fat. Now, given this, the idea is that weight loss is not that simple. You need to make sure that as you lose the weight, you are able to achieve the most important part of it, which is removing toxic visceral fat from the body. To understand that better, let's watch this short video.
A lean belly leads to a healthier, longer life. So when we measure around our waist, we're really measuring this gelatin fat. You see how closely packed together the organs are here? You need that amount of fat. That's healthy. But over here, this is unfortunately what a lot of us are dealing with. All that excess fat surrounding your organs. Your organs are separated by this, basically this toxic goop. I call it an alien invader. And I want to talk to everyone a little bit about what's happening inside your abdomen and why having a lean belly is such a key to good health. So you're walking around with too much abdominal fat. This fat you're looking at is visceral fat. It doesn't just sit there. It truly is toxic goop encircling all of your organs. It's increasing inflammation. It actually secretes chemicals that increase inflammation throughout your body. But it also affects your cardiovascular system. It increases over time your blood pressure, amongst other things. And as all these parameters are changing, your abdomen, that visceral belly fat, is doing other things. It's increasing production of something called interleukin-6. This chemical further increases inflammation throughout your body. And as this happens, something else really interesting is occurring. Your metabolism is being governed by this excess body fat. Adiponectin is affected. And what does it do when you don't have enough of it? It tells you to store more belly fat. So it's a vicious cycle to poor health. Your liver is overwhelmed with cholesterol. Well, what does that lead to? Plaque buildup in your arteries. And when you get plaque buildup, what happens next? Oftentimes, I see you in the ER, fatal heart attack, and everyone always says, what could I have done differently? Well, the answer is right here now, you've got to target excess belly fat. Belly fat leads to heart disease, cancer, stroke, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, even sexual dysfunction. And I don't want everyone to have to deal with that. Well, what happens if you actually get rid of belly fat and develop a leaner belly? You know what? Studies show you'll actually be smarter. You'll sleep better. Sounds good to me. You'll have a healthier heart. Better sex. They look pretty happy, don't they? Even more money. Less money spent on medical bills, more money to travel the world. Sounds pretty good, right?
So this is the key element of a successful weight management program, to identify the visceral fat layers and be able to detoxify it non-invasively. Now, lastly, obesity is also something that makes people look older. If you look at these pictures, of course, they're older on the right side, but as they look older, they also grow in weight. So, ito si Kathleen Turner from Makati. She became an auntie. Yeah. Si Val Kilmer dati used to be Batman. Now he's a fat man. Imagine if you can help people who look like people on the right go back to their bodies on the left. Imagine how much better they would feel about themselves, their confidence, and their total, overall disposition in life. So the fundamental question is, what's out there and why they do not work? The answer was already discussed. Most of the programs target weight using deprivation, superficial treatments, but they do not target fat loss. And because of this, the weight loss is temporary. Last night, I had dinner with a college friend and a high school friend, and he had gone for ketogenic for last year. But now his weight is back with a vengeance. Why? Because he lost weight, but most of it was fat. Was not fat, general weight loss. So what is the source of the problem? Unhealthy, uncontrollable eating habits, body composition, which is fat to muscle ratios, poor metabolic engine efficiency, calorie burning capacity at rest, high visceral fat, stress, and all of these combine to bombard the individual with habits that tend to create more fat and gain weight. So how do we solve this situation? The long-term solution to weight loss is understanding this fundamental difference between weight of fat and weight of muscle and its corresponding metabolic function. So 5 pounds of fat is bigger than 5 pounds of muscle. But not only is it smaller, but 5 pounds of fat can only burn 10 calories a day, whereas 5 pounds of muscle can burn more than 3 times that amount. So if you have more muscle and less fat, then your body is more metabolically active. If you have more fat and less muscle, then your body is quite slow in metabolizing what you eat. So just to emphasize the point, looking at these two men, both are 1.8 meters tall, both are 90 kilograms. But if you look at the guy on the right, would you say that he would need to lose weight? Not really, right? Because he's really fit and muscular. And it would even look less healthy if he loses some of those muscle. But the guy on the left, he is full of fat. And you would note that he really needs to lose weight. So it's not just the weight, but rather the muscle to fat ratios of the weight that we have. So let us share with you the clinical foundation of our program. Our company has been doing research on genetic profiles and genetic gene expression science. And there was a study done that was published back in 2008 that twins who had the same DNA and genetic makeup were observed because they had different physiologies at a certain age. One twin was overweight, the other twin is normal in terms of weight. And they observed that while their genes are the same, they behave differently. So compared to the normal weight twin, the overweight twins exhibited down regulation of gene expression pathways related to fat regulation, meaning they are predisposed to storage more than utilization, and muscle protein synthesis. So the conclusion is that it is not just about the genes, because you can have the same genes, but they can behave differently. Furthermore, the expression of genes that control eating behavior are altered in overweight people. So there are multiple studies between 2008, 2007 to 2012 that show that the overweight people, their genes behave differently in terms of eating habits. They are more predisposed and they have higher cravings compared to those that are not overweight. So, because of our acquisition of LifeGen Technologies a few years ago, we understand this better than any other company out there. And fundamentally, the company has identified the gene expression pathways that are linked to fat storage and fat metabolism. And the company has amazingly discovered how to influence these specific gene expression pathways to promote lesser fat storage and greater fat burn. So this study was care of LifeGen, preclinical study of adipose, gastrocnemius muscle, and the hypothalamus. So Nu Skin, the idea for weight management is not outside in, it's inside out. We influence the gene expression from within so that it influences how we feel and look from without, our body and our overall health. So this is a study on how genes behave differently in a healthy weight person. The healthy weight person is on the left. The gene related to fat storage functions on a green behavior, but in an overweight person, the same gene related to fat storage functions in a red behavior. Next, in terms of fat metabolism, in a healthy person, the fat metabolism gene behaves as a red. In an overweight person, the fat metabolism gene behaves as a green. So this data is quite conclusive that the genes on rate of fat storage and fat metabolism behave differently in overweight versus healthy individuals. Now, thanks to our access to advances in gene expression science, our scientists are able to compare and contrast between two biological states from a genetic expression level. And what the company did was that we were able to identify the desirable gene expression behavior based on the lean individuals, and the undesirable gene expression behavior in overweight individuals. And so what the company did was that uh, in undesirable or overweight individuals, they were exposed to different ingredients. And after being exposed to different ingredients, the behavior of the gene expression was observed, and we identified which ingredients were not effective in any way, moderately effective, and most effective. So in this scenario, ingredient number 4 has the highest impact in getting the undesirable behavior revert back more closely to the desirable behavior. Not perfect, but more closely. So here's another clinical trial on one of our ingredients published in 2010. The first bar is a lean individual, more blue, a little bit of red. A person in high-fat diet was taken a sample, and their expression was more red and less blue here on the second bar. The company exposed the high-fat diet individual with a particular ingredient that we have in TR90. And what was observed was that despite a high-fat diet, but the ingredient was included, the behavior of the fat changed from the obese behavior to closer to a lean controlled behavior. And also, in terms of fat storage and fat metabolism, this is the lean control, the first bar. A high fat control is red sa ilalim at the bottom and purple at the top. And when they expose the high fat control with the ingredient blend, they observe that it mimicked the behavior of the lean control gene expression. And so once these research and these ingredients were identified, they were developed into a product set. And now it was time to expose this product set to real people, not just to individuals and their genes. And so the company did an open label single arm design on the 90-day program. And the participants were 45 women and 21 men. And these results that I'm about to present were shared in Experimental Biology 2013 in a conference by our PhD scientist, Steve Wood. The research was done in Orem, Utah. So what was the conclusion? Lean comparison group, red below, green on top. People who were overweight that joined the program, green at the bottom, red on top. After 90 days, it was more red below and a little bit of green on top. Closer, but not exactly, but closer to lean comparison group and farther from the TR90 starting baseline. Body composition result after 90 days. After 90 days, the average body fat percentage loss was around 7%. Started at around 0 to 2% for the first 14 days, but dropped significantly by the 90th day or the 12th week. These are average measurement decrease after 90 days. From the waistline, the average waist circumference decreased by 7 centimeters. The average hip decrease is 6 centimeters. Arms lost around 2 centimeters, and the ankle lost around 1 centimeter after 90 days. 85% of the participants noticed changes in body silhouette, and 98% said their clothes fit better after TR90. This is back in 2013. So in essence, Age of TR90 is a revolutionary innovation using gene expression science to create leaner, younger looking you and individuals by resetting the gene clusters that influence healthy metabolism, lean muscle, and appetite control. So A lean muscle individual would have more metabolic engine. Unfortunately, in traditional diets, people lose weight, but part of that is muscle. And so what happens is that they eventually lose metabolism. Our program is starting to lose fat but grow muscle so that the metabolism is increased. To understand that better, let me share with you a short video that will illustrate this scenario. Let's watch this.
Let me tell you the dirty secret of dieting. Dieting makes you fat. Don't believe me? In the next 90 seconds, I'll prove it. This is Bob. Bob wants to look good at his reunion, at the beach, or just look better naked. So Bob diets and loses 30 pounds. That's great, right? Wrong. Losing 30 pounds and thinking you're healthy is like cutting off both of your arms and celebrating for losing weight. The scale doesn't matter. Everyone has what we call an internal body engine, which consists of your organs and your lean muscle. Your body engine is always running and burning calories. As long as your body engine is running properly, you'll burn calories naturally. When Bob dieted and lost 30 pounds, what he didn't know was only 20 pounds of what he lost was fat. The other 10 pounds were lean muscle from his body engine and therefore lowered the number of calories he burns naturally. So Bob gets off his diet and falls back into his normal eating habits. But since his body engine isn't burning as many calories anymore, all of those extra calories that aren't being used go straight to fat. Bob gains more than he weighed before, and so he diets again. But he damages his body engine again and gains even more. He's fallen into the vicious cycle of dieting. So what's a guy to do? Through our weight management programs and technology, we focus on body fat percent and strengthening your body engine, aka building your lean tissue to burn calories naturally. A pure body engine burns more calories. You'll maintain a healthy body for months and years ahead. You'll know you're in great shape when you lose inches and your body fat percentage lowers. Now Bob is looking great at his reunion, looking better at the beach, and looking his best when he's naked. We're changing the way the world sees dieting and health. You can do it too. Want to know how? Just ask whoever showed you this video.
Okay. So that's what we do in the TR90 program. It has 5 elements. The individual must be first in the right mindset of changing their physical situation. Second is the gene expression science micronutrition. Third is macronutrition, the right eating habits, the right eating choices. Fourth is an active lifestyle, moderate lifestyle. And fifth is a coaching system that will help us help people transition to a healthier life. So let me share with you a little bit about our gene-based advanced products. So we have 4 products in the program. Let me start with A-Shock TR90 Jumpstart. The key ingredients, as you will notice, are fruit and plant-based. Therefore, there are absolutely no toxicity to liver and kidney function. Let me start with prickly pear fruit powder, which supports weight loss and positive changes to body shape. Cereal saffron stigma controls appetite and decreases body weight. Pomegranate fruit powder supports healthy insulin activity and glucose metabolism. Very relevant for people who are diabetic already. Red orange fruit extract reduces body weight gain. TR90 Control has theanine that targets the connection between stress, anxiety, and obesity. Cocoa bean powder controls the appetite. Pomegranate, we talked about earlier. Tart cherry fruit powder regulates blood sugar and appetite, promotes a healthy response to inflammation. So this micronutrition helps our genes behave properly. So as we take in the macronutrients, we receive them in full efficiency. Third product is TR90 Complex, which has cayenne fruit powder for thermogenesis increase and suppresses appetite. Citrus biflavonoids, again, same, appetite suppression and thermogenesis. Green tea extract, thermogenesis. Quercetin for inflammatory gene and management. It reduces body weight gain. Red orange fruit extract reduces body weight gain. Whole grape extract facilitates exercise performance and post-exercise recovery. So it's a total fitness supplement. And fourth, we have HLOC TRNA Trim Shake, which is targeted to help build muscle mass. As we know that protein is a difficult food to source throughout the day. So we make sure that one part of the day is adequate in protein and clear of any unhealthy food. So that is what we call the micronutrition. Second thing that we'd like to talk about is that in terms of the macronutrition or eating habits, the TR90 program has what we call an eating plan induced thermogenesis benefit. And you will learn this as you are trained and as you undergo the TR90 program. Most people, they have metabolism only at night, around 3 hours a day, because they have a light breakfast, light lunch, then heavy dinner. So their fat burning zone is only 3 hours a day. In the TR90 program, we will have an eating plan that boosts the thermogenesis to 9 hours per day. So it will be breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 times better fat metabolism than previously. So here are the results. This is Dr. Michael Matignas. He is, Dr. Michael Matignas. He is 41 years old. And in 90 days, he lost 10.5 kilos, of which 8.8 kilos are fat. And visceral fat layers loss was 6 layers. So his body age became younger by 10 years. And if you look at his profile on the left and profile on the right, it is dramatically different. This is where I came from. I was chubby before I met the TR90 program. And through the program, over 2 rounds of it, I lost a total of 12 kilos. Lisa Ignalaga lost 18 kilos at mid-40s. Okay, look at her here and here, totally refreshed. Dr. Helen Juanillo, 53 years old at the time. Now, look at that, lost 10 kilos in whole after 2 rounds of TR90. Ana Santo Tomas became leaner, mid-30s. Dr. Edwin Valencia, 38 years old, lost 20 kilos. Del Ricaza lost also 20 kilos. Archie Langkay lost 20 kilos. So Archie is an example of an individual who had maintenance medicines. After the program, his doctor cleared him safe because his body has now fully transformed. Lester, gym buff, but only through the TR90 program did he successfully shed the fat from his system. Okay, let's do it again. There. This is Lester now. And because of his results, his dad became impressed. And with that being impressed, the dad also went through the TR90 program. And from 3 maintenance medicines and a 41-inch waistline, the dad is now down to 1 maintenance medicine and a 34-inch waistline. So he was able to protect his dad's liver and kidney. So in summary, this TR90 Best Body Ever program helps reset your metabolism, muscle, and appetite genes to a younger, healthier expression. Helps individuals achieve a fit and healthy body. Protects you from degenerative diseases. Helps you wear the clothes you've always wanted. Boost your confidence and look 20 years younger. Now, there are 2 program options for individuals who have minor weight loss necessities. They can opt for the TR90 30-day program where they can lose 2 to 3 kilos, lose 1 to 2% body fat, and reduce 1 to 2 layers of visceral fat. This program costs 35,000 pesos. But for people who need to lose more than 5 kilos, they would want to go into the TR90 90-day transformation program, which will help them lose 5 to 10 kilograms, of which will include 2 to 5% reduction in body fat and 2 to 5 layers of visceral fat reduction. Instead of having 35,000 per month, which would be 105,000 for 3 months or 90 days, You are given a discount at 85,000 pesos. So you save 20,000 pesos if you opt for the 90-day program, or if your patients opt for the 90-day program. So now, how do we participate as medical practitioners? There are three ways. The first way is to integrate this into your practice as a holistic approach to healthcare. The TR90 weight management specialist requires training and certification. Training in the sense that we need to help you lose weight yourself, and we will train you how to train other people, especially your patients, how to achieve the weight loss also. So the fee is 85,000. Inclusive of that fee is a management fee for you as a doctor of 13,500 per patient. So if you have 5 patients in a month that goes for the TR90 program and achieves their desired weight loss, you earn 67.5. If you're able to grow that 10 cases per month, you earn 135,000 rebate. So you can use this to add on to your savings or to pay for some expenses that you might have. But definitely this achieves two birds in one stone. You help your patients have a better health, and you also are rewarded by providing that value-added service. The second way to participate is to become a businessman by becoming a TR90 franchisee. This will also have business training now and also technical training. And here, the role is to train TR90 weight management specialists. And what will happen is that you will be able to influence some peers in the industry to also make this program available to their patients. And so if you are able to train 5 MD partners who have 2 cases per month, that's around 10 cases per month, your profit as a TR90 franchisee is already 140,000 pesos. Now, what happens with weight management is that successful cases are inspiration to people around them. And so involuntarily or perhaps voluntarily, your successful cases will have referrals. And these referrals will begin to have what we call a compounding effect or a viral effect. As it grows, your profits also grow. If you have 5 MD partners who do 3 cases a month, or a total of 15 cases, you earn 240,000 in profits. If you have 5 MD partners with 4 cases a month, you earn 340,000. If you have 25 cases a month, you can earn close to half a million pesos in a month as a franchisee. As you do this, you are going to be trained on how to set up your business team and how to train them adequately. TR90 franchisee can earn between 140 to 440,000 pesos depending on how many cases that are executed in their franchise. The last way to participate is as a TR90 franchisor. As a TR90 franchisor, your role is now to train franchisees. So a franchisor is a franchisee that has qualified and is certified, now is capable in training other franchisees. So here you earn 10% royalty by developing TR90 franchisees. So let's just say that you're able to set up 4 franchisees that have an average of 10 cases each in a month. Then your royalty for setting that up is 200,000 pesos. If you develop 4 franchisees that do 20 cases each, you earn 400,000 pesos in royalty. And if your franchisees do 30 cases per month, you can earn as much as 600,000 pesos. Okay, let me just do that again. And so to earn 600,000 pesos, we set up a channel wherein 120 cases are able to be helped to lose 5 to 10 kilos each month, and therefore reducing the risk of the progression of their chronic degenerative diseases. As value added, you can earn 600,000 pesos royalty, even if you're spending more time with your family, even as you are exercising more and sleeping more, even as you are traveling the world. So the key here is to develop franchisees. And the good thing is that if you are decided to become a franchisor, our corporate partner, New Skin, will treat you to an incentive trip in Moscow, Russia, for two. And so let me share with you a short video about this. Okay. So if you want to go to Moscow with us for free, let's work together to become a PR90 franchise partner. So how do we participate? The first step is to go for your own training. And that training where is simply to buy your own TR90 90-day transformation program. If after an assessment, your requirement is only less than 90 days, then you can take 30 to 60 days and use one of the 30-day packages for your patients and sell it to them. The objective is to lose 5 to 10 kilos and achieve the desired body fat percentages, 2 to 5% fat loss, and 2 to 5 visceral fat layers gone. This package includes TR90 weight management specialist training and also a free Omron body fat analyzer that will be used as a diagnostic tool for your patients. And that will be part of the training that will be executed as you after you enroll in the program. So this is the last part of our briefing. We hope that you enjoyed the discussion, and we look forward to partnering with you to develop your leverage income and at the same time provide a better quality of life and more comprehensive healthcare to your patients. So with that, have a good evening, everyone, and see you again soon. For those who are registering in the program, we will announce an online training on the TR90 weight management specialist. So stay tuned to the person who invite you to this video presentation so that they can inform you adequately on when that schedule will be. So have a great evening, everyone, and a good weekend ahead. Good night.